I feel like we're drifting off apart from the
A little bit,
transgender
a little
issue.
bit.
But
I would agree.
I guess since you brought up gay people, like, how do you feel about gay people? You cool with gay people?
So it's not that I don't like them or I hate them. I
Okay.
just believe that men and women were put on this earth to be with the opposite gender. When you go to have a child, a male and a female have a child, not a male and a male, not a female and a female. You can adopt, but that also is a mental condition, like you said. But I still
So
believe it is also
you think
an
gay people are
illness
mentally ill?
to a certain extent, not like schizophrenic level.
Yikes.
No, no, no,
That's
no, no, no.
that's gonna be a
Don't,
yikes for
don't
me,
bend it.
dude.
It's possible that it wasn't. It may have been other.
Pandastic in the chat says, "Hey, remember when you called someone transphobic for saying choosing to chop their genitals off is delusional? Damn, that sucks." And the laugh track. Yeah, I did say that because I do believe that Pancho is transphobic because I don't think that trans people are delusional. I think they suffer from gender dysphoria, and I think that the entire scientific community, the entire medical community, the entire academic community all agree that seeking out gender affirming care is the way that you deal with that. So I'm sorry if you live in a world of delusion and you don't believe that, but that's the reality of it. So you can kindly see yourself out of my chat and go fuck yourself. We deal in reality here, not in your little, feels over reels like mindset.
As I'm sure you do and have, and other people that maybe not believe or are agnostic or whatever. They have all kinds of questions.
Hey, Pandastic, I got a question for you. You want to talk about it? Seems like you have a lot to say. Would you like to talk about it? Why don't you come on stream and tell me what you actually think about it? You can't magically... Well, again, come on stream. We can talk about it. Let's talk about it. Can one of the mods do the Discord command so they can join the Discord? And then they can talk about it. One of the mods do the Discord command. Let them join. I'm interested to see how this goes. Are you joining? Let me check the Discord. Let's see if they're joining. Okay, they did join. In case you guys missed it, there's somebody who's a Pancho fan in my chat who's interested in potentially having a conversation. So we're waiting to see if they join the Discord server. I did see, if we go to... Where are they at? Who joined? Right here. I did see that they did join. I'm waiting for them to type in the general chat. Okay, chat. They are finally here. They are finally here. Okay. We can get this fucking show on the road. All right. Let me go ahead and let's get them going. There they are. Okay, chat. Here we go. Here we go, chat. I'm going to bring them in right now. Hello. Is this Pandastic? Is that how you pronounce that?
Yes, it is.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So,
By the way, before we get started, how old are you?
So I am 18. Yes,
Okay.
Young, I know. But let me tell you, I grew up in a Christian household. I was taught differently, so I may have different views. I do not want to let this get out of hand.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, we're just having a conversation. We're just having a conversation.
So real quick, I understand. I will, real quick, apologize. What I said when I first came into the stream shouldn't have been the first thing I came into the stream and said. I apologize for that.
What did you say again?
I brought up the whole Pancho thing.
Oh, but that's fine. That's fine, dude. No, not a problem.
But if you will allow me, I would like to start. But if you would like to start,
yeah, just kind of, say whatever you want. Tell us kind of like what your stance is, why you feel that way, etc.
When I look at like the whole trans thing,
okay,
gender dysmorphia, gender dysphoria is
it's dysphoria. Just for the record, it's dysphoria.
Okay. It is a real thing. I'm not saying that is false. Okay. I'm saying the whole thing where people are telling them they need to fully embrace that to accept themselves. If you
Okay.
see where this, do you see where I'm going with this?
So you think that gender dysphoria does exist? It is something that people,
It is
deal
100%
with,
yes,
but you
but
don't think that
also
gender affirming care is the way to deal with it. Is that correct?
yes and no. Um, when I look at like different mental conditions like gender dysphoria and depression and how that plays into gender dysphoria, I see a mental illness, or because a mental illness is a confusion of the brain, so is a mental condition like autism.
Okay.
And when I watched Pancho's video on this, he said he kind of compared it to schizophrenia, which I thought was a little weird. They're not exactly the same thing, but when I look at schizophrenia, it is kind of similar.
So you think that
Where
gender dysphoria and schizophrenia are similar?
no, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they are both mental illnesses. That's the main similarity between them. And it's kind of like telling what Pancho said was a little off. He said it was kind of like telling someone a little hard.
Okay, so it seems like you're getting a little lost in the weeds, and I understand like you're in front of a large audience, so maybe you're a little bit nervous. That's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
The first thing I'll say is that so gender dysphoria is not a mental illness; it's a mental condition. There's a difference,
Well,
right?
if you look up the definition of a mental condition and a mental illness, then it is almost the exact same definition.
But they're not the same.
One moment, let me pull up the definitions.
Okay.
So I looked up mental condition. One moment. A mental condition is a wide range of conditions that affect mood, thinking, and behavior, like clinical depression, anxiety disorder, bipolar disorder, all that stuff. Schizophrenia, obsessive compulsion disorder, autism, post-traumatic stress, all that stuff. So it alters the way that the brain works. Would you agree?
Can you repeat that again? Sorry.
So a mental condition alters how the brain works. So like clinical depression, it makes the brain work in a way that you don't produce the dopamine that you need. Or like an anxiety disorder or bipolar disorder or dementia, it alters how the brain works. Would you agree?
I don't know if I entirely agree with that definition. But maybe to some extent, no. No, I don't think so. I don't think that's accurate.
Okay. Well, I looked up mental disorder, and it brings up the same types of things: clinical depression, anxiety disorder, bipolar disorder, dementia, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, schizophrenia, obsessive compulsion disorder, autism. It's bringing up all these same things. So when you look up a mental disorder and a mental illness or mental condition, they are all under all three of those brackets.
But the thing
So
is, like, the thing is, like, when you typically think of like a mental disorder is something that like, it's something that's like, how do I explain this? It's something that in itself is the problem that you're dealing with something like gender dysphoria is something that can lead to other types of mental sort of situations. Like a lot of people who have gender dysphoria, for example, they suffer from like depression, they suffer from anxiety, they suffer with like suicidal ideation, things like that.
Yeah,
So it's a little bit different.
I can
But
see where you're coming from with that,
yeah,
but
it's
again,
like
I
a
said,
contributing factor to like other
yeah, for sure,
conditions.
for sure.
Yeah.
But when, like I said, when I'm reading off all these conditions, when I looked up mental condition, it said all these conditions. when I looked up mental illness or mental disorder, it also brought up all these conditions.
Okay.
Now,
So
when
I don't. Oh, okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
when I also say that like you can't magically like change your gender or scientifically change your gender, yes, you can alter your physical body to better fit the description of what you want to be. And I'm one of those people that respects people's boundaries. If they want to be called a certain gender, go for it. All you.
That's fair.
But when someone says that they are going to fully transition into that, that's where I start to get a little worried, because when
Why?
you are depressed or when you are anxious or you have bipolar, you take medicines or you get therapy to help with those conditions.
Mm-hmm.
So
Those are what's it called? Treatments that have been found to work with those types of
yeah,
conditions.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But what you're saying is you don't like the idea of gender transition, but that's what the medical and scientific community has found it works with gender dysphoria. So like
Yes,
you're
but
okay with the treatments for like anxiety and depression, but you're not okay with the medically and scientifically approved
may I
sort of
also bring
treatments for
something up?
gender dysphoria?
May I also bring one more thing up before I answer
Sure.
your question?
Sure.
The person who did those studies herself was a lesbian.
Okay, actually, I would love to talk about this. First of all, why would a lesbian woman be biased about studies related to trans people?
Because it is all part of the LGBT community.
Which by the way, for the record, if in case you don't know who he's talking about, chat, he's talking about Judith Butler. So,
Yeah,
you're saying that she's biased just because she's gay,
that could be a part of it. Yes,
but
I
why?
believe.
Why gay and trans are not the same thing? Why would she be biased
I
towards
understand that
trans
they're not,
studies if she's gay?
I understand that they aren't the same thing, but when you are looking at these factors, when you go out and say, so I'm going to bring up a personal experience as an example.
Okay.
When I went out and said that, like, this one person told me that, like, coming out as trans or something could be, like, or even gay or anything, it's the bravest thing you can do. And, I didn't agree with that because, wars are fought, they get upset.
I'm sorry.
And,
I'm not trying to be rude here, but I still
oh, no,
felt
no,
to
no,
see.
no, I don't think it that way.
I still felt to see how this shows that a lesbian woman would be biased towards
I'm
trans
getting there.
studies. You get it?
I
Okay.
I am getting to my point. I'm sorry.
Okay. Sorry. No worries. No worries. Like I said, I
No,
understand.
no, no,
You're in front of a
no,
large
no, no.
audience. You might be a little nervous. That's fine.
But when you look at the LGBT community, this is what I'm trying to get at this with that like experience. They all, when a group of people identifies under one kind of banner, they all kind of go out and protect each other. Do you understand what I'm kind of saying?
So you're
No,
saying
that doesn't apply
she's
with everyone.
biased. You're saying she's biased just because they're all under the LGBTQ
I'm saying
umbrella?
she could. I'm saying she could possibly be biased.
Okay.
I might have mixed that up earlier on, and if I did, then I did. But there is the possibility of that bias being there. Would
Okay.
you agree?
I would disagree personally, but I can at least understand
Okay,
your logic
so
there because Pancho didn't
yeah, yeah.
really explain his logic. So at least you have somewhat of a logical explanation to why you feel that way. Okay, fair enough. Here's the other thing about Judith Butler, because that's who Pancho was talking about. You're talking about the same woman Pancho was talking about, right?
I believe so.
Okay, so Judith Butler, she didn't actually do any studies, right?
I'm fairly certain she did.
No, she didn't do any studies. She's not a doctor or she's not a scientist or a biologist or anything like that. She's a philosopher. Do you want to know what she actually did?
I would like you to inform me.
She wrote a book in regards to gender in its connection to feminism. She did no transgender studies at all, not a single one. Did you know that? Or did you just
Um,
believe that because Pancho told you that?
Well, I thought a while ago I had read something under her name, but
Yeah, she didn't do any studies for transgender people. Not a
okay,
single
I
one.
might be confused then with someone
Okay.
else.
I mean, that's who. If you so you're talking about, because it sounds like you have a lot of the same talking points as Pancho. That's what it sounds like to me. And I'm
Yeah,
willing to bet you probably got a lot of your information from Pancho, right?
I also got it from kind of my whole viewpoint of the world, but I did get a couple of my points from Pancho.
Okay,
I
so then
might go
you're
keep
likely
it
talking
up.
about the same woman that Pancho is, which is Judith
Yeah, I
Butler.
think I am.
Huh?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, so
Let
yeah,
me.
she didn't do any transgender studies.
Yeah, I just looked up Judith Butler gender studies, and yeah, I'm not seeing anything. I appreciate you bringing that up.
Okay, no problem, no problem. Okay, so I guess I want to get back to a question that I asked you earlier. So you say that you're not in favor of like trans people transitioning. So what do you suggest would be the appropriate treatment for transgender people?
So, in my opinion, I'm not saying this is 100% going to be the best way. It's just an idea. So, when looking at this mental condition, the gender dysphoria, you need to kind of be taught about what that does to your brain instead of just saying, "Oh yeah, you have gender dysphoria, you're trans," you know. Instead of just outright telling them the best thing for you is to completely change your gender, is to remove all your genitals or whatever, you know, completely transition. They should first at least try seeking professional help with that.
So what
Like
does that professional help
therapist,
look like?
like a therapist possibly, or
You know, a
uh
lot of trans people actually go to a therapist to get a confirmation of their gender dysphoria, right?
yes, but at the same time, those therapists possibly, or they possibly don't go there. I'm saying possibly because I myself am not transgender, so I don't know this whole thing. But in my eyes, instead of just going there to be diagnosed with dysphoria, gender dysphoria, possibly look a bit deeper into that gender dysphoria and why you have it.
Do you
Do you
well
see
well
what
do you
I'm?
do you think that
Well,
every person that goes to a psychiatrist or a doctor or something for gender dysphoria knows what they have? Like there's some people that they go having no idea what they have, and then when they see that
yeah, I
psychiatrist,
agree.
the
I
psychiatrist
agree.
is the one that informs them that that's what they have. It's kind of like someone who goes to a psychiatrist and says, hey, this is what I'm dealing with, this is what I'm experiencing, and then psychiatrist will diagnose them with an anxiety disorder
Yeah,
or a depression disorder, or maybe they'll get diagnosed with something like ADHD or something like that, right? Like that's
yeah, I agree. I agree. But
so you understand that like
when
not everybody who goes to a psychiatrist is specifically looking for a diagnosis of like gender dysphoria or something
100%,
like that, right?
100%,
Okay.
because some people outright know that, like, oh, I have bipolar or I have, like you said, gender dysphoria. But when I myself do have like trans friends, but none of them want to fully transition because they already live a happy, healthy life.
Right.
They
Do
know
do do
what
you
they have.
know do you know that like there's there's different levels of like comfort that like people will seek out in terms of gender affirming care. So like for example, you mentioned your friends, they haven't like fully transitioned or whatever. Like, and to be clear, what do you mean by fully transition? Are you talking about surgery,
Like,
or
they
are you
get
also
this,
talking about like,
um,
hormone replacement therapy, or like what
oh,
specifically?
oh, like when you fully transition, instead of having, a penis, you get I think for male to female they invert it to simulate a
Well,
vagina. Is that
we don't have to get into the specifics of it. So you're talking about
yeah, anyway.
surgeries. But
Yeah,
like
surgeries and
for
hormone.
you HRT still on the table? Like taking HRT, that's fine?
Well,
So no, okay.
remind me what
HRT is not fine.
HRT is.
Okay. So what I was gonna say though is that not every trans person needs to transition to the same degree. Some people, like you mentioned, your friends who like maybe they just dress differently, maybe they use, like if it's
Oh,
a
no,
male to female, they might use a woman's name now or something like that. Those are what's called social transition. Maybe even using like new pronouns. Like those are things that are called social transition. And some transgender people are perfectly fine just
we're
socially
saying
transitioning, right?
what you were saying is don't necessarily fully transition your physical body and just kind of accept who you are is what I'm getting from your point.
So are you saying not to social transition either?
No.
Or
I'm asking what your uh idea of this is, what your overall idea is.
so to what extent that I agree with transitioning? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah, so like
Okay,
just accept who
so
you are, or you have
no,
to
no, 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 no.
transition to.
No,
Okay,
no, no,
okay.
no. If you have gender dysphoria, I want you as a person to have the ability to transition to whatever degree you need to experience the level of comfort you need to address your gender dysphoria. So again, for some
Mhm.
people, that's just social transition. They might use different pronouns. They might go by a different name for the opposite gender, whatever gender they identify with. They might change the way they dress and present themselves, and that would be
Okay.
fine for them. There may be other people who may decide I want to do hormone replacement therapy. And if that makes them comfortable, then hey, I'm totally in favor of them doing that as well.
Yeah.
And then also, if they decide, you know what, I want to go with sex reassignment surgery, I'm perfectly fine with that too. Whatever it takes for them to feel comfortable in their own body, I'm 100% in favor of that.
Yeah. It's just when I look at people, or especially like the Bible, and I understand not everyone believes in the Bible, not everyone believes in God, but when I read the Bible, it specifically states that a man was created to be a man and a woman was created to be a woman, and there is no changing that. Because, if you look at the Bible again, man was created in God's image, male or female.
Okay. So I'm not going to be disrespectful to your religion because
Go ahead.
even though I no
Well,
longer follow
well,
religion, I'm not going to be
I am.
disrespectful
I
to your religion.
myself
But
am
I'm just going to
asking
say, like any
questions.
arguments that involve religion, those aren't really going to work here. I'm just giving you a heads
Yeah,
up on
I
that.
understand. I understand. You're backing by scientific studies and everything, but I
Right.
myself am questioning it. I'm just saying, like, if you look at all the history, like from the Bible, from like just Roman anything, like not only was it not like right to change your gender, which I understand that in like Roman culture and
Transgender people have existed all throughout history, right?
yes, I understand that. And
Okay.
homosexuality even was highly like agreed upon in like Greek uh society, in ancient Greek society.
I I I feel like you're getting kind of lost in the weeds here, and maybe again it's because you're nervous.
Like just the idea of what we see now today as the LGBT community was accepted to some extent throughout history,
Okay.
but not to the degree that it is today, if you see what I'm saying.
I think I see what you're saying. I don't know. Like I said, I feel like you're getting kind of lost in the weeds. I feel like we're drifting
Yeah,
off apart from the
a little bit,
transgender
a little
issue.
bit.
But
I would agree.
I
I would
guess since
agree.
you brought up gay people, like, how do you feel about gay people? You cool with gay people?
Um, So it's not that I don't like them or I hate them. I
Okay.
just believe that men and women were put on this earth to be with the opposite gender. When you go to have a child, a male and a female have a child, not a male and a male, not a female and a female. You can adopt, but that also is a mental condition, like you said. But I still believe it is also
You think
an
gay people are
illness
mentally ill?
to a certain extent, not like schizophrenic level.
Yikes.
No.
That's gonna be a yikes for
Calm
me,
down.
dude.
Calm down.
I'm just being honest with you. That's a pretty big yikes for me, dog.
Yeah, but I mean, to each their own. If you think that's a big yikes, then that's fine. But in my eyes, like, when I don't want to say when a normal person, because that's even worse.
Yeah, that wouldn't be very good. That wouldn't be good.
Yeah, no, not at all.
I'm
But
trying to be gentle here, my dude. Like I said, I understand you're nervous, and I understand you're coming from a place of like religion, which, yeah, again, not disrespecting your religion, just Sky Daddy arguments don't work
I'm
here.
just here to express my thoughts. I'm not
Yeah,
trying to
that's
prove
fine.
anything
That's
wrong. I'm
fine.
just expressing my thoughts, and I'm wanting to hear your side of things.
Okay.
And I understand that you understand that. So, when I look at LGBTQ community, like, I see all of that, like, is to some extent, depending on where you're coming from, is a certain level of mental illness.
Oh my god.
No, please.
I know.
Don't
I'm just being
don't
honest
freak
with you.
out.
That looks really bad, dude. Like that.
Don't
That
don't freak out about it.
that
Just
comes off as kind of homophobic. Are you homophobic?
like I said, I have friends that are trans, gay, all that. I'm not homophobic
So how can you be friends with
just
these
because I
people?
express my view
No,
of
that's
something.
that's fine. That's fine. I just have to ask you, how do your friends feel about you thinking that they're mentally ill?
They're perfectly fine with it. They've told me
They're
that
okay with you
they
thinking that they're mentally ill?
okay when I say that someone is depressed and they are mentally ill. They don't get upset about that.
I mean, it's a mental illness that you seek treatment for. Like I have an anxiety disorder and a
Yes, and
depression disorder, and I seek treatment for those. Yeah.
some gay people that I have met go to a therapist and seek treatment for their sexuality.
What? Are you sure? Like, are you sure they're not going for some other condition?
They have outright told me that they go to see help for their sexuality, for depression, for anxiety, whatever conditions they have. They go to a therapist and see that.
I mean, I can understand if they went to a therapist for like an anxiety disorder or depression disorder or something like that, but I really doubt they're going to a therapist to
I'm
basically
being
engage in.
wholeheartedly honest.
I don't think so, because what you're describing is gay conversion therapy, and again, that's a pretty big yikes, my dude. I really doubt that. Are you
No,
trolling? Are you trolling me right now?
no, I'm not.
Okay,
I'm being
I
honest.
just had to make sure. I just had to make sure you're not being a troll.
Yeah, no. I don't believe to troll people just to get a rise out of them. That's not right. That's just looking for attention. It's not right. But when I
Real quick before we continue, Green Olive in the chat says, "Why is being mentally ill bad?" It's not that being mentally ill is bad. There's nothing wrong with being mentally ill, but when you're describing gay people and trans people as mentally ill, that's pretty bad. That's what I'm saying.
But you see how I can believe that it is an illness. You can see
I can see how
might-
you can be misled by people like Pancho and other people you might be listening to believe it's a mental illness. That I can see.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, I want to kind of return to this question because I don't think we ever got like an actual answer. If you don't believe that gender affirming care is the appropriate way to deal with gender dysphoria, how do you suggest that trans people be treated for gender dysphoria?
Like I said, they seek a professional to better understand why they feel that way.
Okay, and if the professional suggests that they seek out gender affirming care, what do you think then?
Then they go out and have gender affirming care.
So you are okay with them getting gender affirming care?
To some extent. I mean, if there's
what's the
absolutely
extent?
nothing,
What's the extent in which you agree and
if
disagree?
there is absolutely nothing that a professional can do to help them understand why they feel that way and what they can do to fix the issue, then yes, go to gender affirming care. That's kind of like if you have depression and therapy doesn't help your depression.
But again, I don't mean to cut you off. I don't mean to cut you off because I don't want to get lost in the weeds again. So you said to some extent you're in favor of gender affirming care. I have to repeat the question. What is that extent that you agree? What extent?
I just stated my extent.
What is it? Maybe you cut out and I didn't catch it. What is the extent to which you agree with gender affirming care?
If there is nothing that they can do to help
No, so okay,
the
let me
person under,
clarify the question. What kind of treatments are you in agreement with? Are you in agreement with just social transition? Are you in agreement with going on HRT? Or are you like full blown like, okay, get the surgery too?
social transition, that's probably the maximum I would go. Like, if they want to be called a female, they can be called a female if they're a male. You know, I mean, I don't agree with fully changing your or trying to fully change your biology, because that's just, yes, you can slightly alter it with hormone replacement care or surgery, but you can't completely change your gender just because you
Why
have
not?
just because you're a woman and you have a genital sewed onto your body doesn't mean that that genital will work like an actual genital.
But
Just because
why can't someone change their gender? You do acknowledge
or
that gender and sex are two completely different things, right?
they were altered by politics, they weren't, or by
No, no,
society,
no. Gender.
because
Do you
gender
know what
and
gender actually
sexuality,
is?
original, sir, mate, or tipster, what do you want me to call you?
Either one's fine. That's fine.
I'll go ahead and call you tipster.
Okay.
Just because that's your online persona and I want to
Fair
be
enough.
respectful. But when you go and try and completely change your biology, you just can't do that. It's
Why
not
not?
possible to fully. No, I'm saying it's not possible to fully transition to a completely different gender. If you are
Why
a
not?
woman, you will always have the XY chromosome, whereas a male will always have the
Do you think
XX.
that chromosomes are important to gender? Do you think that that actually has much to do with
Yeah.
gender?
Yes, because if you look at the original
Why?
definition, when I was taught in school about gender, I was not taught that gender was, oh, it's whatever you feel like you are. I was taught that your gender was based off
What
of your
you're referring
chromosomes.
to is sex. Sex and gender are two different things. Gender is a social construct based on societal and cultural norms. So like for example, if I
That
were to
is
give you an example of
crazy.
what that means, like if we're talking about a woman, typically in our society, in our culture, a woman might have longer hair, a woman might dress like in dresses and stuff like that. A woman might conform to certain like societal roles within society. That's what determines your gender. It's not what's between your legs or what chromosomes you have.
Yeah,
Yo,
I mean
so
that's
you
to me.
agree? So you agree?
No. That's just me, not affirming what you said. That's me acknowledging what you said.
Okay. So you don't agree?
No, no, I don't.
Okay.
In all respect, I do not agree. I honestly, wholeheartedly believe that it is just not possible to change your gender. I mean, it's just it, when you look at the original definition of gender, it is what you are based on your chromosomes. That is the original definition of it. But then
What you're
society as
referring
a
to is
whole,
sex.
again, I'm referring to the original definition of gender. The original definition.
If
But
that's what you
even
believe,
if
sure.
you look up the original definition of gender, society has altered it so much that now it is what you feel like you are based on social norms. What I believe you said, correct?
Yeah. It's based on like societal and cultural norms. Yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, when I was taught in school about, sex and gender and all that, I was told that both not sexuality, sex and your gender are based on the chromosomes that you have in your DNA. That's what I was taught.
I mean,
Then again,
you do
then
understand that
again, I
like
was,
things change with time, right? Like over time, like people
yeah,
definition
I
of words
understand
and
that.
how we
But
understand things, like especially in science. There's things we understood in science like 20, 30 years ago that are no longer correct now. So like it seems like you're
Yeah.
really trying to appeal to like outdated views of like gender and sex.
Sorry about that.
Well, that I'm just saying, if you are looking at the
Like there's
original
things I'm
definition, that's what
I don't mean to cut you off
that's the
again, but like I'm
definition I
36
did.
years old and there's things that I learned in school that aren't true anymore. Like
Yeah.
things change, right?
Yeah, things
So I
do
don't
change.
think referring to like what you learned in school when like maybe what you learned in school isn't like, you know, what we believe now. Like I don't think that is a good argument.
Yes, but when I am talking about facts versus a societal norm, just because it is a societal norm does not mean that it is a 100% true and definitive fact. Would you agree? Because like you said, things change. The only things that really don't change are like gravity, all that, and I know it seems like I'm getting off topic again, but like this is playing in like you cannot change.
Oh, your audio went really fucked all of a sudden. I don't know what happened. You're like super low now.
They called me on Snapchat.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Well, now you're super quiet. What's
yeah.
going on?
You might have to let me disconnect you and reconnect you. Sometimes that helps. 1 second.
Oh no, I'm good.
You're good now? Okay, cool. Cool.
All
right.
Girl I'm talking to just called me, so.
Oh, all right. Is a nice little lady friend or something?
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice. Congratulations, my dude.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Where were we at now?
I'm gonna probably head out here in about 5-10 minutes, if that's okay.
Okay, I have one more question that I want to ask you. Actually,
Go ahead.
what was I gonna say? You made me lose it there for a second. If I'm being completely honest.
I'm sorry. Take your time.
Okay.
Get up now.
Yeah, I lost it. I think it's gone. But
I'm trying to sleep.
I don't know.
Message me if you ever get it back. If you want my work schedule, I'll give you my work schedule so that you know when you can get a hold of me.
Okay.
I would 100% love to have this not argument, not debate, but this conversation again.
Okay.
Just so I can further understand why you feel the way you do.
Okay. Fair enough.
And again, I apologize for the way I came into the stream. Anyone that I offended in the stream, if I did at all, I apologize.
And even if I did,
but
I want to tell you.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You seem reasonable. Yeah, you seem reasonable, and you seem like you're willing to have a reasonable conversation. Obviously, we don't agree on everything, but at least you were willing to have a fair and reasonable conversation.
Yeah, no one will ever agree on everything. There's always going to be something that someone doesn't agree with the other person on. That's how wars are started. That's how everything kind of falls apart in society, you know?
Okay.
Like I said,
no one's ever going to agree on everything. So
sure.
That's kind of the way I viewed it when I came into here. You know? But I hope that you do have the best in life.
This isn't what I was trying to figure out, but like, what do you think about like how Pancho said about, you know, if somebody tells him like, hey, you incorrectly like use my wrong pronouns, and he just told them that he would just tell them no. Do you think that that's because you said that if somebody tells you their pronouns, you'll be nice enough to respect them? Do you think it's kind of fucked up that Pancho said that he would not respect someone's pronouns?
I think as long as they respect or you as a person, you should respect them. So I will agree with you on that. That is a little messed up. There are some things that I don't agree with Pancho on. Like, if they truly wholeheartedly respect you and what you say you are, you need to respect them. That's my whole ideology is I respect you, you respect me. You respect me, I respect you. You know? So,
Okay.
I mean, he might not have the same morality as me or as you, or moral values, I should say, because he is speaking what he believes to be true. I hope that you see that.
Yeah. Okay.
And
And I
I
do
believe-
remember the other question I wanted to ask you too.
Okay, go ahead.
So you did mention that you disagree with like certain levels of like seeking out gender affirming care and whatnot. You mentioned that you're 18, but I'm gonna ask this question anyway. What is your like medical or scientific background? Do you have any?
My grandfather, I do not have one, but my grandfather was a biologist.
Okay. Oh, that's kind of cool. So
And
you don't.
he also was a science teacher in a town here in Illinois.
So you don't agree with seeking out gender affirming care, but do you think that you know better than like the greater like medical community and like academia and stuff like that? Like,
I do not know better than any professional. I'm
because
a
like
citizen.
I mean, if we just want to cite some of the organizations that believe that gender affirming care works, we're looking at like the American Psychological Association. We're looking at the National Health Service. We're looking at American Academy of Pediatrics, and the American College. There's so many like organizations. I can cite so many organizations to you right now that believe that gender transition through gender affirming care does work.
Yeah, and I hope that this is gonna. I apologize if this sounds bad, but I hope you do make a follow-up video with the whole Pancho ordeal and kind of state some of those sources, because
You know, I stated some in one of my responses to him, right? I showed sources
I
in one of
think I
my.
only saw one of the videos.
Yeah,
I believe.
yeah. I showed sources to back up my claims in one of those videos. Do you think that Judith Butler is the only one doing any kind of gender studies or studies into like, you know, gender dysphoria or anything like that? Because like, you want to see studies. You said you wanted to see studies. You wanted to see sources and studies and shit like that. All right, let me bring up some sources and studies for you, my dude. Let me pull some up for you real quick, okay? Let's start right here. How about this article here from the American Psychological Association? How about this? All right. This is an article. This talks about gender affirming care. It talks about a lot of the discrimination that trans people have to face. That's a pretty good article that really breaks down gender expression and gender identity in great detail. So if you want to take a look at this, that's a good article that you can take a look at. But you know what? I understand that you're a mushhead. I think that maybe this would be a little bit too much reading for your liking. Maybe you'd want something that's a little bit more of a TLDR. So how about this one from the NHS? How about this one that really breaks down gender identity, gender dysphoria, signs of gender dysphoria, the kind of treatments you would seek out for it, et cetera, et cetera. Is that good enough for you, buddy? Oh, no. Maybe you want something a little bit different. Maybe you want to know how gender transition helps trans people. We can bring up this article right here from Cornell that breaks down exactly that. And just to kind of give you the key points of what this article talks about, it talks about how there were 55 studies done. And of those 55 studies, 51 of those talk about how gender transition, how transitioning has had a positive effect on the mental health of transgender people. A positive effect on those people. Okay, so maybe you could take a look at that one. What else do I have here? I have a few other things pulled up here. What about this one from right here, Wiley Online Library? What does this one break down? This talks about how there's systematic literature review of 28 peer-reviewed studies concerning individuals who underwent gender-affirming treatment, 80% of which of those individuals reported a significant improvement in their dysphoria. And it also says that 78% of the individuals reported a significant improvement in their psychological symptoms. Positive things that came out of them getting gender affirming care. And I figured I'll show you one more. I'll go ahead and bring up this one because maybe you want a long-term study. We have a long-term study here, a long-term peer-reviewed longitudinal study over a period of 10 to 24 years that finds that through medical treatment and legal affirmation, transgender people experience improved qualitative and quantitative outcomes regarding their mental health and overall well-being. You said you wanted studies, you said you wanted facts, you said you wanted the fucking details. There you fucking go, my dude. There you fucking go. How about that, my dude?
I will get back to you when I watch those videos. Then
Okay.
I'll
Yeah, I'm looking.
100%
I'm actually gonna send you a friend request because I'm actually interested in potentially having another conversation with you about this.
100%.
Okay, let me go ahead and do that right now so I don't forget.
Yeah,
But yeah, you seem like super reasonable. Again, I obviously we disagree on some things, but
yeah,
you're at least reasonable. So I'm open to having another conversation with you.
yeah. And like I said, we're not going to agree on everything, but I just wanted to kind of have a conversation and uh, kind of give my points on things and hear your points and hear your values. And I wanted you to hear mine. But I will say some of the stuff that I heard Pancho say in his response to your response was kind of out of pocket.
Good. Do you mind if I
But
ask you specifically what he said that you believe is out of pocket?
I don't remember word for word what he said, but like when he straight up just says,
Think we can get upstairs through the
like,
shaft?
no, I don't
Ring the
respect
boost. I'll
your
go and check.
pronouns. Like that kind of deal
Mhm.
kind of was a little rude. But I would also like to state when, like you said, things do change. So these things have changed. But phobias, if you would allow me to bring this up, phobias are an irrational fear of something. Now, a
Mhm.
teacher of mine actually told me, which is, it kind of baffled me when he said this, but he said, what about hydrophobic? When things are hydrophobic, they exert, or they don't exert water, but they reject water.
Okay.
And that also kind of got me thinking. But when we are speaking about people, just keep this in mind next time you kind of um think someone is like homophobic or transphobic or any of those phobias or even fat phobic. um think, is this person actually got an irrational fear to this person, or do they just not agree with the ideas and values? And some people absolutely do hate transgender people
Mhm.
and
And
for
to
who
be
they
clear, like you can be transphobic or homophobic, but not actually hate those people. It's just like you may be playing into like really harmful rhetoric that is, very negative towards them, or like that is being
some people might
propagated by
understand.
legitimately harmful people,
Yeah,
right?
but some people might make those harmful jokes and not understand that they are harmful.
And that's
You
why
know,
there's people that try to
they might
explain
just
that,
be
right?
they might just be ignorant to the ordeal. Sorry, say that one more time.
That's why you have people like myself, for example, who try to explain that to them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I will say this though, like I genuinely do believe that Pancho is transphobic. I mean, he's literally advocating for not providing gender affirming care to trans people. So like that's not good.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, if that's what makes them comfortable, then yeah, I will agree to a certain extent. The extent
What do
of
you I don't mean to
this
cut you off, but what do you
person.
think about his comments that the Jews
Ada,
started trans
did you
people?
find
Like the
anything?
Jews invented trans people.
Right here.
Honestly, I haven't watched a whole lot of Pancho lately. That's the very first video I've seen in a long time,
Do,
probably a year or two. So I
Hey,
don't
I can't
think
reach the
I
ventilation
saw
pipe.
that video. I
I'm
will
gonna have
also
to find
watch
another
that.
way around.
Send me
do
a couple
Catch
of
up with you later.
the videos.
I can send you the clip of that. Like he basically literally made the argument that
Well, no, just send me
the
the.
Jews invented
Send
trans
me the
people.
You know who started the idea of transgenderism?
Who started it, Pancho?
I'm gonna just put the emoji in chat.
What?
That's who started them.
He put. Oh no. No! Holy shit! He's JQing! He's literally a fucking Nazi! He's actually a fucking Nazi, dude! Holy shit. Tipster, did you know that he did that during his stream? Oh my god.
send me the video link so I can watch the entire video.
Yeah, I can do that. I'm pretty sure the stream is still public on his channel. If not, I can send you the clip at least.
Yeah. But also send me a couple of your videos of responses to Pancho.
Sure. I can
And
do
I'll
that.
watch them. I'll try and make time. I'm free this entire weekend if you have anything else that you want to kind of have a friendly debate over. I mean, I might be busy. Just shoot me a text and see if I'm busy or if I'm not. And I would love to have another conversation.
Yeah, sure, no problem. I went ahead and I sent you that friend request. Looks like you added it
Yeah,
because I
I
can DM you now.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I'll shoot you a message. I'll send you over those videos, and then maybe we can have another
Also,
conversation.
one more thing. I
Sure.
will say, do not get upset over this.
Okay.
In his eyes, it was pure fun, like just a joke. He put a picture over your
Oh, I don't
kind
care
of
about that. I don't care about that.
Oh,
The funny thing is, like, for a while, like, I actually used the picture he put over me. I used it as my profile picture. I don't give a shit.
oh, that's sweet. That's sweet.
Yeah. I don't give a shit about that. Like, he can make fun of my weight and whatnot all he
Okay,
wants.
one more thing. This isn't me saying that you need to, but if you ever feel that you need to, kind of, oh, this is gonna sound bad. If you ever feel like you want to lose weight, my wrestling coach no. My wrestling coach gave me a good diet plan, and that
Okay.
actually helped me lose weight. So if you ever do need help, I mean, don't go to me first. Go to a dietitian because I don't know better than a dietitian.
Okay.
But it's a slow weight loss. Like it's a gradual weight loss.
Okay.
So if you ever do feel like you kind of want to at least lose a few pounds, I mean,
Yeah, I've actually
nothing-
been losing a lot of weight lately. I've been doing calorie counting and I do step counting, and I've lost 40 pounds in the course of 4 months, I think.
Okay, so you are losing
Yeah.
weight gradually. I think the fastest I've lost weight is probably 20 pounds in 3 weeks.
That's pretty good. Hey, congratulations.
I was like 180 and then I went to 160 within like 2 weeks.
Nice. Well, congratulations
A
on
lot
that.
of lean meat.
Hell yeah.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and give you this real quick. We
Sure.
completely dived off the transgender thing, but
Yeah, it's
honestly,
totally fine. Like I said, I understand you said you were like you only had so much time or whatever. It's okay.
so you get like a lean meat. So like you can have steak, you can have chicken, and every so often you can have pork.
Mhm.
But like get chicken or like a really lean steak, and if you look at your palm, you know that first crease in your finger, and all of your fingers, including your thumb,
Okay.
that's where you kind of like pretend to cut off all of your fingers, and the palm from where your first knuckle is to the rest of your palm is the size of the meat
Oh,
that
I
you
see
want.
what you. Okay, so the portion you're trying to eat.
Yeah, like
Gotcha.
8 ounce
Yeah, I was
steak
like,
filet
wait, what are
mignon.
we talking about cutting off fingers for? Okay, I got
Yeah,
you.
no.
I understand it now. I understand it now.
Yeah,
I understand
that's
now.
the portion size that you want of your lean meat.
Right.
And you
Yeah.
can have as many vegetables as you want. You can have fruits just in kind of moderation, not too many, not too little, and then a glass of water, and you'll start losing weight.
Nice.
Just not insanely fast, but I mean you don't have to like do crazy amounts of exercise to do it. Like maybe walk on a treadmill for half hour, 15 minutes, something like that a day, and
Right.
you're fine. I mean 20 minutes of exercise is what gets your sweat going, and then after you're done working out, don't drink a nice cold water, just drink a nice warm water or a
Gotcha.
nice room temperature water.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, thank you for the advice. I actually will consider
Yeah.
that. Thank you so much.
Yeah. But like I said, let me know if you have anything else that you want to talk about, even if it's not about this whole LGBT community thing. Like anything that you feel like I might have a different view on and you want to kind of have a conversation to get a different viewpoint on it, go ahead, hit me up.
Yeah, I mean,
will
I don't know
say
your
everyone-
views on other things, but like if you're ever in my chat and you feel like you disagree with me on something, we can definitely talk about it.
Yeah. I will say when I'm not at work, I'm probably at the card store in town. Because we got a D&D and Magic Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh card store in town. So,
Oh, nice. Pretty
so
cool.
anyways, have
All
a
right, but
wonderful
yeah,
night.
I'll send you over those videos, and thanks for the conversation, man.
Yeah. And again, if I offended anyone, I apologize.
All right. Well, you take care. You have a good one.
You too. Have a wonderful night. And
All right.
have a good stream.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Well, funny enough, that's all I wanted to do with Pancho. I just kind of wanted to have a conversation with him like that. I understand he was strapped for time. There were like other questions I would have liked to ask him, but unfortunately, because he was strapped for time, we didn't get to all of it. But like, that's literally all I wanted to do with Pancho, is just have a conversation with him like that. And unfortunately, he just wasn't willing to have that conversation. So Pancho, if you happen to see this by any chance, that's literally the kind of conversation we could have had. Something super chill and civil. Like, I get it. Like, in my videos, I'm getting super like animated and shit like that, because at the end of the day, not only am I trying to convey information, but I'm also trying to be entertaining, right? But like, no, like if you're open to it, Pancho, if you happen to see this by any chance, like we could literally just have a chill conversation like that. And I'm totally cool with having that conversation, but the ball's in your court. But yeah, that wasn't too bad. I'm kind of interested in potentially talking to that guy again. I'm going to send him the videos that he asked for, and maybe he'll come back to me and we can have another conversation, and it can be super productive.